Hello, writers, or people that are interested in writing, or people that have never thought about writing, particularly writing about loss. But hello, you're in the right place. I have, here and there over the years, been facilitating narrative healing for your journey of loss. I have been through a lot of loss, and as a writer, this is how I have processed so much of my experiences, so much of my emotions around the initial loss and the losses that come after. And thinking about avoiding starting this, I was reflecting on how starting is hard. You know, it's scary because you have to put your expectations aside and just let it happen. And kind of feels like throwing yourself off the cliff sometimes. But if you just wait for the moment that it feels right, then it happens. I was also reflecting about loss and the types of losses that there are. You know, today I put my child on a bus. I was not crying, but on the inside I was crying. And then it just happened. Poetry. I was like, I like writing on things. I like scrapbooking. So I grabbed a bus ticket and said, yep, I put my child on a bus and went, bye. I'm going to write a poem on this because I feel really shitty. And I wrote, this is a poem. Something is untethered. It feels wrong to walk away. I guess I need to practice. Oh. And then things like this happen. Magic just happened. I guess I need to practice, but I can do it. I'm going to read that again. I guess I need to practice. I can do it, but my heart will never get used to this. Even something as simple as putting your child on a bus, especially when my partner died 12 years ago and I was suddenly a single mom with a 1.5-year-old. Untethered. Don't worry, someone will catch him on the end. And the reason that I laughed is that I was looking at some books that I have, one in particular, Threading the Light, Explorations in Loss and Poetry by Lori Nelson Glenn, and I'll put a link to all my books in the comments. But she was talking about loss, the habitual everydayness, because loss is loss, loss is change. And I was introduced to a poem by Elizabeth Bishop, who was a writer in the 60s, 70s. And she wrote a poem called One Art. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with intent to be lost, that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day. Accept the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Then practice. Losing farther, losing faster, places, names, where it is you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch. And look, my last or next to last of 3 loved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster, some realms I owned, 2 rivers, a continent. I missed them, but it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you. I shan't have lied. It's evident. The art of losing's not hard to master, though it may look like disaster. This is how the subconscious works. I wasn't even thinking of this poem when this poem happened. And it's about having the nerve, having the courage to walk into an empty space where there isn't anything yet and letting it happen. It takes courage and it takes faith to show up like that, especially when you're faced with a blank page or an empty journal or an empty canvas or an unused musical instrument. Whatever it is hard to start. You need a starting place. So today, it is my honor to hopefully give you a starting place, to invite you to attend either my Monday in-person narrative healing for your journey of loss, or the online version that is going to be on Thursdays, which will accept much more people. I think I capped it at 10 right now. The Monday one will be capped at 6. And I just wanted to let you in on what this process looks like and say, I know it's scary to start, but once you're in it, it's not scary at all. It's fucking magical. Fucking magical. Like, this is why I love poetry. This is why I do 30-day poetry challenges on my Instagram, Brave Creative Me. To keep my wheels greased, to know that poetry, that writing can happen anywhere. When you say, looking for divine inspiration, looking for a hint, give me an in. I hope this can be your in. Because Lori spoke about this poem. She had some amazing reflections about it. Practice losing farther, losing faster. When I first began to write poetry, I was introduced to Elizabeth Bishop's poem, One Art, as an example of form. But now I read and reread the work as astonishing control and its emotional depth charges. Bishop's voice is at once ironic and despairing, and its tone, regardless of the time elapsed between each reading, always seemed to mirror my own. At one point, I had memorized most of the words, holding them perhaps so they might hold me. Lose something every day. Accept the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I reach for a soft drink on the seat beside me, hoping sugar will keep me awake. I am leaving a writing retreat in order to travel from the prairies back to the Maritimes, to complete a move from a town in rural Nova Scotia to the city of Halifax, preparing to show the house earlier that spring, to move to Kokopelli magnet. Oh, I removed the Kokopelli magnet from the fridge. Hopi trickster, who reminds me of a Navajo friend, Jane, and of driving through Arizona. It's these little details. We lose things all the time. We walk away from things all the time because we have to keep walking. no matter what kind of change or loss you go through, losing a person, it's the same method of healing. It is just much harder to walk away. And it's like the poems that I wrote after my wife died, because it was easiest to write poems because I didn't have to commit to like a memoir, which I eventually did. But I needed the poems to come out first. It was like the couple of raindrops before a storm. And believe me, I actually wrote about tsunamis. It's the little details where we can see ourselves losing things. We don't always have names for the shades of sorrows and joys we live inside, but we each know what defines and depends upon the other. Inside the core shadow of grief, we recognize our shared mortality, and only in that recognition we are not alone can hope be engendered. In this exquisite, pure spot of light we associate with love and joy, we may be temporarily blinded, but if we look beyond and we draw on what we know, we feel the presence of the shadows that have intensified what appears to us as light. Light and dark, even what we may think are the purest state, are transitory pauses in the shape of being. Decades ago, my well-meaning mother, a nurse, gave me pills to dull the pain of losing my fiancé. Now, years later, after so many deaths of loved ones and more deaths imminent, I would choose the bitter, sweet tenderness of being fully inside grief, awake, raw, open, feeling its walls, its every rough surface, its every degree of light and dark. I would choose, as I have, to let grief and loss take their time, lengthen and lighten their shadows, find light in good time. I choose not to move on because I do not know what that means. I carry your heart, as E. Cummings wrote. I carry as many as I am able, for it is that love/loss, light/dark fusion that brings me home to the world. I adore that, because that is what writing about grief can be. And that is what healing can be, if you are called to it. Then I'm inviting you to come into this space where you will sit with your peers to write, to witness each other, to only share what you feel comfortable sharing, and to find ways, and to find ways, and to find ways to reframe your journey and not give it a time limit, to give it prompts, to give it projects, to give it presence, but not a period. Things like that just happen. So, yeah, that's right. Projects, permission, that's the other one, permission. You have to give yourself permission to write about grief. And in Braving the Fire, a guide to writing about grief and loss by Jessica Handler, she actually suggests writing out a contract. I shall write about X, and I shall do this, and I shall do that, and this is what I'm giving myself permission for. Because, and this is a big rule for memoir in general, it's your story, from your perspective, from your memories, from your expectations, from your experiences. Did I say that? No one else can do that because it's yours. So if you need to give yourself permission to write about it and own it, then give yourself permission. Because I tell you, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I would have found something to do, but as a writer, there was no way out other than creativity. That was it for me. I needed projects. I thought, I love scrapbooks, but I can't spell. I want to write things. Oh my God, I just opened up right to it. Magic. Wow. Thank you. God, I'm so emotional today. I made a project out of collage and using articles to cut up and write poetry with that because I was worried about my spelling, my ADHD-ness. And it was a great project. And then it was a great project that took something that was very sad and ugly for me, the cards under the bed, gathering dust from my partner's funeral, and I couldn't look at them anymore. So I made it beautiful. And I think I'm running out of time, almost running out of time on my 20-minute video, but yeah. And it's called There Are No Words, because so many people wrote cards to me that began There Are No Words. But there are so many words. They just don't come out all at once. You have to give them time. It's like stew. You can't put the vegetables in and take it off 5 minutes later. You need time to marinate in your grief. But before you do that, you have to create a space for you to feel safe in, particularly if you're part of the queer community. Because, like me, I was less affected, I think, than other people. But when the people around you don't want to validate your relationship because you're queer, they will not want to validate your relationship or your partner that's passed on as a valid loss. And that's re-traumatizing. So I want to hold space for anyone who wants to be here. Queer, straight, trans, black, white, Jewish, Hindu. Just come to the table and bring your losses to a safe space where you can choose how you want to create about a person that you have lost or a horrible loss in your life. Be flexible with your definition of loss. You decide in your life what is loss. Bring it to the table. And I will create a safe space where everybody understands what the parameters are. Bring it to the table so you know what the parameters are. And you can play and feel safe. So that's it. I will leave a link to the books that I mentioned in the comments. I will leave a link to my website, captaingrief.ca, if you would like to sign up for the classes or get in touch with me. You can send an email to me at brave.creative.kelly@gmail.com if you want to ask more questions, if you want to see what a writing prompt might look like. It could be oracle cards. I'll also put a link to my channel if you're an oracle card growth. So I could sit here and say, we're going to write, and don't worry about the first sentence, we'll take care of it. I got growth. I want to expand my consciousness and my awareness. So if I could leave you with an assignment, take out a pen. Give yourself 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and start your sentence. I want to expand my consciousness and my awareness with blank. Give yourself permission to grow for as much time as you need, because everything takes time to grow. So that's it for me. I'm excited, and I guess I'll have to find something to do now my child's not here. Ah! All right, take care. See you later. Oh, wait a second, I forgot. I don't normally do this on the channels that I host, but this is a new endeavor. Last year at this time, I published my memoir dedicated to my late wife, and now, because I'm launching these classes, I need a little boost to be able to find the people that need to write about their grief. So if you could take a moment to share, and there's orbs. If you could take a moment to subscribe and share, so this kind of goes as far as it needs to find the people that it needs to find, I would be so appreciative. I also have an Oracle channel where I do energy. It's called Energy Healing Oracle 555. So if any of that interests you, or if any of that you have a friend or a family member that might be interested, could you please share it? And that would be great. And we'll see if we can get this going. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye.